Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Ben and Colin. We are, let's give it a minute, let a few more people join in. Beautiful day here in Texas. We're just watching the hurricane coming up through the Gulf and see if that's going to bring us any fun weather. If you hear some loud noise, there's some airplanes flying over. We have the benefit of being just across the street from a manufacturer of F-35s and F-16 jets. Oh, here comes one right now.
There goes one right now.
Perfect timing. So if we hear it, we might pause for a minute.
And we'll pick back up.
And once it passes, we'll pick back up. I'm sure it sounds good in the video. But looks like we got a couple more people joining. If anybody has any questions, feel free to live chat us. Perfect timing on the airplanes again. Feel free to live chat us. We'll be able to read the questions right off the screen and answer some of those. If you have anything on any other topics, feel free to add those as well. We can cover those in maybe some future live videos.
Yep. My first YouTube live video right here.
Colin's first. He may be a little bit nervous, but he'll do just fine. He knows the system better than anybody here. So we're looking forward to being able to showcase that for everybody today. Well, what do you say we go ahead and get started? We got a few more people on.
Sure.
So I'm Ben Schuck with Technical Services. This is Colin Garner with Product Management and Engineering. Colin, what are we going to be discussing today?
So today we're going to be going over the SafeEdge A.R.C system. Now, A.R.C stands for Automated Relief Valve Control System. Really what this system is it's an electronic control system you can pair with a Weir SPM into nitrogen relief valve. And it's used as a safety device on site. Now, by pairing this system with our into relief valve, it really turns our valve into a smart valve, right? So
that's great. It's just, so we've had nitrogen systems been around for a while. Yep. We've seen, I think, one A.R.C system. Is this a whole lot different than that system?
It is. This is a much more compact and rugged system. As you can see, just a few small major components, and we'll go through what each of those components do, but very easy and user-friendly, easy to set up on site. We have lots of documentation that we'll also touch on here, but we can provide access to anybody that has any questions about documentation. But yeah, we'll jump right into kind of some of the key features and benefits of this system.
So the original A.R.C system, it was big. It came on these big skids. It came out on a trailer. It was only available for rental, if I remember right. Mm-hmm. This system, obviously, you can see is much more compact. Is this available for rental or is it for purchase as well?
So we are offering this as both rental and purchase. Now, when you rent the A.R.C system, the three major components are your control box, your valve box you see here, and a pressure transducer. And then all cables and hoses required to rig that system up. Now, in a rental option, we also have the ability to add a into relief valve to that package. So depending on if a customer has a valve already or they would like us to provide the relief valve, we can provide those in a rental offering as well.
Okay. What about the nitrogen for the system? Is that something we provide, or?
We do not include nitrogen with our systems. Typically, there were nitrogen banks already on site, so that's not something that's included with the A.R.C rental.
Okay, good. But we can tie just directly into the nitrogen bottle.
Correct. And we'll touch on that in just a little bit. But one of the things that this A.R.C system really does for you is it lowers the total cost of ownership of an into valve. And the ways it does that, the first thing is we found ways to cut nitrogen consumption in about half. And that's feedback from the field, as our customers are telling us that they're using half the amount of nitrogen on site that they typically use.
And that's great, because one of the biggest complaints from those original A.R.C systems is, they did consume a lot of nitrogen. So if we were able to cut that in half, that's a huge improvement over the original system. That's great.
One of the big things that this system addresses, and then the other thing that this system addresses, is with some of the controls we put in place in the system, we are extending the number of pops in the kit life on the into valve. And this is feedback from the field as well. One of our customers who typically saw only 5 to 10 pops of their into valve before they had to rekit it, their feedback is they average 200 pops of the into relief valve before they have to rekit it. A separate customer who rents this system from us in the field rents them on 4-month intervals, and this this valve does not have to be serviced in those 4 months. So when it comes back in for service, it gets a new kit, and that's it.
That's a huge improvement.
Yep.
That's great. Well, tell us a little bit about the system. What when I rent the system, or if I buy one, what am I getting? What does it come with?
So we touched on the major components. It's coming out to site in just a large Pelican case right here, right?
So everything I need is in this Pelican case.
Everything you need is in that Pelican case. We joke that it can fit in the back of a Toyota Prius. We won't bring it out to site in a Toyota Prius, but very easy, 2-man lift, easy to lift, but it includes the 3 major components we talked about. And then we also have installation instructions, very easy to walk through, that we can provide, as well as a user manual that goes through all the features, benefits, functionality of this system.
And so one thing Tech Services does is, in addition to that, is we want to come out and train anybody that's going to use this on it. This is actually our training module that you see behind us that we're going to be using today. Comes out, we have the nitrogen system, the relief valve, valve box controls, all the cables. We can go through basic setup, detailed setup, programming, anything that we need to do. We can physically pop the valve off multiple times. And so this is how we would train a new customer on this, or retrain existing customers if they have new personnel.
Right, and then train. I understand that you guys are also willing to go out to any service center location and do actual demos, right? So.
Yeah, we love doing real demonstrations. You know, we invite anybody to come to our facility here in Fort Worth. Any of our service centers, we can meet you there. We'll have a valve. We'll hook it up to a pressure pump in one of our test booths. We'll take this system. We can pop it off. You can play with it, as many pop-offs as we need, and really show the system under pressure and how it's really going to function. Yep.
So now kind of what we were going to jump into is do an actual demonstration, along with walking through some of the major components and how easy it is to really install them. So we start out with the control box. So this is really the computer, the brains of the system. This is what's going to be sitting in the data van. All it takes is basic 110 power supply. You can plug it into any wall socket, and this thing boots up and starts running. Then you run a cable from the control box out to your valve box. Your valve box is out on location, sitting right next to your relief valve. We want to keep that distance as close to each other as possible.
And that helps save nitrogen, right? That's one of the main reasons.
The reason we put the valve box so close to the in-tube valve is we dump less nitrogen every time we pop, the closer it is to it.
Because the original system, I mean, it could be 100 feet away, right?
Yep.
And we're going to blow all that nitrogen out of that hose every time we pop off.
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense.
So it's another thing we've addressed with this system. So once you have the valve box and control box hooked together, the next thing you really need to do is get your nitrogen set up. So it's just 2 hoses. You run from a nitrogen bottle into your valve box, and then you run from the valve box into your relief valve. 2 hoses. That's all that's required to hook up. One of the things we do want to note here, you no longer need to use any of the manual regulators on your in-tube supply into this valve box. It's got a built-in regulator to check the in-tube before it comes in, so we won't damage any components. Allows you to get away from those manual regulators that typically will dump quite a bit of nitrogen.
Yeah, so the regulators also had some pressure gauges. Can I still see my bottle pressure on the system?
Yes.
Now that I take those away?
Bottle pressure can be seen on the screens and easily monitored.
Excellent.
So lastly, once you got your nitrogen hooked up, the last thing you got to do is hook up your pressure transducer. It's a single cable running to your pressure transducer. This is what the system is using to monitor, to know when to pop and to reset itself.
And
typical
it's a
pressure transducer.
Normal transducer, just like what everybody's using today.
Rig into a T. We recommend rigging it in within 10 feet of the system. That's our recommendation. It's not required. You can really rig it anywhere in the system you'd like. So
that's great.
So once the system is rigged up, and that is all that's required to rig up this system, the next thing we'll do is we'll really do a demo for you to actually pop the system and show you.
So check, always make sure our nitrogen is on.
Yep.
What's the system say that we are armed and ready to go?
So at this point in time, from a customer standpoint, once you get your nitrogen and everything hooked up, the only thing you have to do as a customer is enter in your pop-off pressure. So this is the value of, once the pressure readings are above that value, the system will dump the nitrogen and completely open your valve. And then the other value you need to enter in is a reset pressure. What do you want the pressure to drop back down to where you feel safe and comfortable with closing the system back up and getting right back to working?
Awesome. Now, on the pressure transducers, are we able to span and calibrate?
Yeah, we won't demonstrate that today with this video, but you are able to zero and span your transducers directly with this system. Very easy, and we walk through that in our operation and maintenance manual and in our trainings.
That's great. Well, today, instead of a transducer and pressure, we're going to use a signal generator. This will generate a signal of up to 15,000 psi, as if we were plugged in. So you want to give it what? What are we at right now?
We're at 14,000 as a set pressure.
As a set pressure.
Yep.
So as I turn this up,
as you can see, the system now comes with a high visibility indicator. This was just to make sure everybody on site knows when this system is popped. There's no question if your in-tube valve is opened or not. Very easy to locate on site. And then as Ben dropped the pressure back down, you can see that the system closed back up. The valve is refilling itself at this point in time, and then you'll hear the whole thing close back up. There you go, right there. So
now it's ready to go again.
It is ready to operate again.
That's
so
great.
One of the things I do want to touch on while we are kind of at this point right here, one of the standard things that comes with this system is a Y cable coming out of our control box. The reason for this is when we're on site, we have the ability with this single control box to control 2 different valves at 2 different set pressures.
So is that why would that be important nowadays? So we could do one by the manifold trailer, then on the other side of the plug valves.
Yep.
At 2 separate pressures.
Yes. So you can run 2 cables out to 2 different valve boxes. One of the big applications that we're hearing this is a big benefit for at this point in time is in simul-frac operations. And it's something we're about to be on a site starting next week, is the ability to pump 2 wells simultaneously. The customer wanted the ability to put independent valves monitored at independent pressures on each one of those wells. So like we said, a single control box in the data van, we'll be able to control 2 different valves at 2 different pressures on site.
Oh, that's great. How do we see it on the screen? Is it labeled valve 1, valve 2? Is it 2 separate screens?
Yes. Very easy to locate on your screen. It's just tabs on your screen. So there's valve 1, valve 2. The cables running out of the valve, or the split cable, is actually identified as cable 1, cable 2 for valve 1, valve 2. So it's well identified, easy to locate on the screen as well.
So is this when I'm looking at the screen, this would be in the data van, and I could just control it off the screen, or do I have other options as well?
You do have other options. So one of the things this system has a really cool thing it's capable of doing is you leave the system on. If there is not enough space in your data van and you need to slide this under or even leave it under the data van, you don't even have to put it in the data van. As long as the system's on and powered up, one of the cool things it does is it emits its own Wi-Fi signal. That means any Wi-Fi enabled device can actually pull the system controls up via a web portal, just any web browser, and you can control the system from a laptop, tablet, cell phone, or we can put the screens directly up onto your data van screen. We also have Ethernet ports, LAN and WAN connections. So right now I'm going to demonstrate for you and actually show you that I have the controls pulled up on my phone right here. And what I will do is I will do a manual dump of the system. Confirm OK. And I have opened the in-tube valve, and as easily I close the system right back up.
Oh man, that's awesome. So any Wi-Fi or internet device that has a browser can pull the system up.
Correct.
And control it.
Correct. And that just we really put that in place just to give you, the customer, flexibility on how you wanted to view this screen. If you want to pull it up on your screens, if you only have room for a laptop or a tablet, or you want to use a phone, right? So it's just giving you, the user, options on how you want to control the system. Or you can just use the control box as is.
So as far as valves, so obviously it will pop if I go over the set pressure. I can do it from a phone, a device. I can switch it from the screen itself, but I also have some hard switches. I have a switch on the valve box, a manual switch, and I have switches for valve 1 and valve 2 on the control. Hard switches, kind of emergency dump valves.
We do have multiple emergency dump switches for anybody in case of emergency. There's one on the valve box, some in the control box, and as you can see, when using the touch screens, we will force you to confirm if you want to manually dump, just because we don't want somebody brushing the screen and it accidentally dumping. So if you use the screen, it would require a confirmation tap, yes, but everything else is a quick throw of a switch and a lever for emergency dumping purposes.
Well, you said earlier this is it makes your valve a smart device. From a data perspective, how smart is this device? What can it do for me?
Right. So we've kind of touched on this, but this system is very accurate and it samples at a very high sampling rate. So it's sampling every 5 milliseconds. When we have an event, anytime the system is popped, whether it be a manual dump or due to a pressure event, a event log is created where 30 seconds of high-speed data before and after the event are zipped up and put into a event file. All that is stored locally here on this system. Just a simple plug-in of a USB. You can export that data from the USB onto the USB, as well as it can be exported into an Excel spreadsheet as well.
Now, is everything an Excel spreadsheet and I have to manually manipulate the data, or does it have any report?
Right, no. Well, you do have report capabilities. So one of the cool things about this system is anytime you're connected to the internet, what this system automatically does is it uploads all your data to a secure web portal, which we will give you access and ability to log in and see all your information. On that secure web portal, we can do a lot of great things. It will automatically generate reports, and these reports can be manipulated. You're able to look in and look at the event data. It tells you the peak pressure seen, what was the reason for popping, any of your settings that you are able of customizing. So one of the things we haven't touched on is this system is customizable to your operations. We can add filters or decrease filters based on what you need as a customer operator. And any of that data you change is logged on every pop-off report.
Yeah, that's great. And the training would cover that. So if tech services comes out and we train you and your crew on how to operate, we would go through all those filters and make sure we're setting them up, work with your teams to make sure it's just right for your operations.
And then really the last cool thing that secure web portal can do is it gives you the ability to send auto notification emails per your preference. So every time you have a pop-off event, if you want a report sent to you, we can do an auto notification email letting you know that. We can also do any warnings or specific warnings that anytime you see this warning, you want a notification. We can auto-generate emails from the system, from the secure web portal.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for showing us this today,
yep.
Colin. So just to kind of recap, we have our SafeEdge A.R.C system. That would come with the control box, the valve box, the cables, transducers, everything you need to hook it up. You know, the customers love how compact it is. It doesn't have to come in on a trailer. It can be thrown in the back of a truck. Uses current N2 valves that are really an industry standard and have been for a lot of years.
Yep. You know, one more great bit of feedback we've gotten from some of our customers is one of the customers' feedback to us was that because of their confidence in the system, they're able to run up at higher pressures, closer to their max pressures of their iron, what the iron's capable of handling. Along with, they're able to shrink the amount of variance. What that in turn gives them is they've told us that they're able to pump 3,000 to 4,000 additional gallons downhole in the same amount of pumping time on a day-to-day basis because of the use of this system. So that's lowering the total cost of ownership and the amount of time it takes to actually crack a job, right?
Increased efficiency, lower total cost of ownership, uses less nitrogen. We're getting 10 to 20x on the pop-offs, you know, going from 5 to 10 to, you said some customers get 200.
Yeah, and that was feedback from another customer is 5 to 10 up to 200 pops now before you have to rekit this valve. So again, a lot of field feedback. The system has been proven very reliable. And
that's great. Well, and tech services, we'd love to show any of our customers a demo of the system. You know, let them get in it and use it. Training is always included. We'd love to bring our system out and train you guys on it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can reach out to any of the service centers direct. You can reach out to your key account manager, your sales guy. You can reach out to tech services, techservices@mail.weir. Email us, and we'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Speaking of that, we'll see if we have any questions.
And while Ben's checking for questions, this is the first of this product demonstration that we're doing. There's also other tech talks. I think they're planning on doing one on lubrication as well later this week, right?
Yeah, it looks like we don't have any questions today, but yeah, join us. We're going to do some more of these kind of product spotlights, and also our tech talk. We have one coming up Friday to continue discussing lubrication systems on on pumps and how to increase pump life.
Yeah.
So.
And we will be doing more product talks. I don't know what's up next, but look for those Spark to Change product talks. We're going to be rolling out several other of those as we go forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Colin. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today.